So I thought I would make a video about this scenario situation that I encountered literally like a few minutes ago. And it really struck me because as a new collector, I've been collecting since, things went downhill. So that's 2 years ago. And for the most part, I've been playing catch up and I've pretty much had to deal with the aftermarket since I've began. But since now I'm pretty happy with where I am right now, I've started just pre-ordering from local hobby shops. But for me, this has been a situation that's really confused me, actually, to be honest. But yeah, let's go into it. So basically, this is really nothing new for us collectors. I think we've all had experience with this, no matter where you're from. But in this case, I'm from the Philippines, so I really can only speak regarding our situation here. So I'm assuming this was like a live selling, given that there's a code. So we'll just go with there. I think the scenario was a seller was doing a live video of his products, and this guy thought he was getting a good deal out of the transaction, but apparently not, because another seller was offering the same figure but at a much more discounted price because they're quitting. And usually, when you're quitting, the price is not raised. It's usually around how much you get it for. So he was obviously very unhappy that and he felt very scammed. I assume. And this is very relatable to me because I've really seen prices, especially in the Star Wars Black Series community, since I'm mainly a Black Series collector, really just fluctuate. Like it's ridiculous how much Ahsoka went for. Like I would see her go for like what's this? Uh, I think around $50 in our area, but now she's really just up to 30 or less. So Anyway, going into this, as you can see on the screen, he was obviously very unhappy. But let's go into what the comments have been saying because that's pretty important. So I've removed all of their names and I've translated this to English because I'm hoping that this video will be as universal as possible and given how yeah, okay. So this collector says price doesn't matter because collecting is a hobby that you should be passionate about and you shouldn't be treating these things like they're just things. I suppose like you have to have an emotional investment in them. And my thoughts on these are, to a certain extent, yes. And in some situations, yes. Have I done this? Definitely. So I'll give you my personal example. I was chasing down Rex last year, and I think I found him in the middle of 2021 going for about, let's see, let me do the conversion. $52. I found Rex for 52, which is already pretty big for us. I know that Rex goes for or used to go for like around 100 or more. But here in the Philippines, we're a third world country, so that's already pretty big. Um, so to this, I would say in some situations, yes, but mostly no, because ultimately, when you collect, money is involved, and especially in my culture as a Filipino, it's it's a common trend for us to want to save. Like we don't usually splurge unless, let's say, you're filthy rich. Every, if not most, Filipino people want to save. Now here's another thing here. These collectors pointed out our situation and how it's different from possibly the West. So essentially, yeah, you can say we are in our country. Pretty much everyone is a reseller. I pre-order now from the local hobby shops because yeah, there is no official Hasbro or official Mattel or whatever in our country. It's we really just get it from these hobby shops. So yeah, naturally the prices go up. Sometimes, but it's interesting with that because when you have different hobby shops, like let's say even five is enough, doing the same thing, none of them can really raise the prices too much because then people will just pre-order from the cheapest. So there's a little bit of control going in there. But in this situation, I'm assuming that this is not a pre-order and that this is really just a live selling. So the prices are going to be different. And this is and this is the thing I would like to point out. It's when you're dealing with the aftermarket, an aftermarket that is, niche to begin with, the value of a thing, or in this case, the value of a figure, is highly subjective, I've seen. And it really just depends on your personal circumstance. I've seen people sell at retail price because they're quitting and they need the money. I've seen people who are not quitting and believe that that particular figure is worth a lot more, so they'll sell it for twice the price of retail or triple if necessary. So, well, triple is pretty much as far as it gets here because in the Philippines we're third world. So, even $100 for like let's say a Rex is a lot. It's something a lot of us can't really stomach. So, so let's go into the comments that's happening here. He points out particularly the second one, he points out a very interesting concept, which is, yeah, the circumstances in the West, the eBay listings on the West, you really can't determine, like, you really can't use that as a solid base because of how first world it is over there and how third world we are. But then the third comment says something very interesting. Um, and it's that there are sellers in the collecting market who really aren't concerned about the collectors that they're selling to. And I would find that in the Black Series community, this is actually not a Black Series situation, but I'm applying it to the Black Series because I collect the Black Series mainly. I find that there are still sellers out there that care about the collectors because it's either they're collectors themselves or they understand the mindset of collectors. So there are still people out there who do care and won't really sell it for, scalper prices. And the last comment at the bottom is something that will continue on to the next one, but it's also a very interesting point. So I'll just switch now. Here, the answer here is very simple. Don't buy or don't support the seller you're talking about. And then a litany. But here's the thing. Let's say we're going back to the original situation at hand. You're in a live, and the friend of the seller says it's already good. And let's say you want to trust both of them, and you go for it. And maybe let's throw in a little bit of an emotional investment. Let's say, like me before, you really want a Rex, and I was kind of, at that point, I was very willing to do anything for a Rex, kahit loose, even if it's just a loose figure. But luckily the price I got it for wasn't too bad, $52. Uh, it's a very easy cop out to say just don't buy them and don't support. But in the moment, let's say you're scrolling or you're watching a live, this is going to happen. You're going to see something, and you may or may not make a mistake. And for me, this is what I believe. If the figure is like not ridiculously rare, like let's say you personally believe that there's a chance that it will emerge one way or another, even in a small country such as the Philippines, then I always suggest waiting, and I always suggest doing research into the particular figure. Because I've repeated this in other videos before, and I will repeat it again. And this is the tip that David Displays Model Collecting said in his video on action figure collecting tips. Nothing is ever truly gone. I will stress that, and I will continue to stress that. Especially, let's say, if you're dealing with a Hasbro product or a Mattel product, which is what I deal with, so I will use that as a basis. Nothing is ever truly gone. So, waiting is always the best idea.